Alright, what's up y'all, it's LakerFan here. As y'all can see by the title of today's video, we're here to talk about the playmaking shot creator in NBA 2K21. So, with this series that I have in mind, the Let's Talk series, it's going to be recapping certain builds, whether it be 2K21 current gen or next gen, showing the flaws that they made in the myplayer builder system and where they went wrong, and how we can develop toward a better build system in 2K22. If they're watching this, maybe they're already done producing the game for all I know, but even at that, you can still definitely make some revisions and tweaks to the pie charts. The gameplay stuff might already be set in stone. However, I do think that this pie chart, myplayer builder, and creation system can be 100% flexed and skewed however you want it to be. You can change the ratings, you can change everything, you can change the caps, you can do whatever you want. So, this is going to be my attempt to speaking to the people at 2K and trying to give us a better build system in the future, as well as us as a community just laughing at how 2K completely screwed up in this build system and just stuff like that. So we're here to also make some jokes and make fun of them in some regard as well. But anyway, I hope y'all enjoyed the video. If you do, free to drop a like, sub if you're new, turn on them noties, all that good stuff. Let's try to get this 1 to 800 likes, and without further ado, we're going to get straight into this. Now, one thing that's so evident and it stands out already, the first thing that you see in this build system is the fact that if you have this 50-50 split right here with the play shot, where it is the yellow and green 50-50 split right down the middle. Now it's not 50%, but you get what I'm saying. It's even distribution between two archetypes. Now if you go to something like this, where it's mostly shooting, some playmaking, then smaller portions of the defense and finishing, you could see the awful trade-off to this is that you don't get Hall of Fame playmaking badges with this build. However, you do get Hall of Fame playmaking and shooting with this. So even if you get a little tiny boost, even if it were a pretty substantial boost to shooting and the more shooting badges you would get, etc., stuff like that, it's still never going to be worth it because you lose your Hall of Fame playmaking badges. Now, even at that, you can see the rating drop off from pie chart to pie chart at the preset heights and wingspan, weight, whatever you want to call it. The rating drop off on this is ridiculous. You literally only lose 2 3-pointer for doing this, 1 mid-range. You really don't lose many shooting badges at all either, and the direct trade-off of this is just not worth it. Now for another comparison, we compare this to the pure sharpshooter. So in 2K17, 18, pure sharps are very valid to run. They were very useful because it was really the only build that gave you access to really high 3-pointer. Pure shot creators was probably the second best 3-point rating build that you could choose from, and it had like literally a drop-off down to 76. And then same with pure point forwards. They were pretty low as well in comparison. Pure sharpshooters were the only access you had to a good shooting build. However, now that we have the intermediate pie chart things where it's mostly shooting, some playmaking, or halfway split between playmaking and shooting, which still gives you ridiculous shooting and ridiculous playmaking anyway, it's become the new version of the speed boosting sharp from 17. So my problem with this is you can see the speed trade-off is ridiculous with this. So we're going to go ahead and just click on this pure green right here. You're going to see that it has 80 speed preset. So this is again with the default height, default wingspan, default weight, all types of stuff like that, 80 speed. Then with this one right here, it's going to be 87. Now also on top of that, you have 87 ball handle with this, whereas with this one right here, you have 76. And again, the caps that I was going to talk about as well, the ball handling needs to be 80 for you to even have pro dribble moves in the first place. Now I do understand the speed boost glitch makes it so a build like this isn't necessarily the thing that you need at every given moment, because you can still dribble with builds that have low ball handling. However, there's just no reason to make anything other than this build right here if you're a guard in 2K21 current gen, because they made this by far the most dominant pie chart you could possibly do, and it's already gonna be one that's very desirable. People like the playmaking and shooting, it's very obvious. However, they made this so unbalanced that it's not even funny. So I pretty much just cooked up the most basic playmaking shot creator you can think of right here, where you have the all shooting, all playmaking, the rest on defense, and then driving dunk to be able to just get, dunks when you have wide open lanes and stuff like that. In the first place, inside bigs are such the meta in this game anyway that you really don't have that many opportunities or openings to just go for a dunk anyway. But in the certain situations where both the defenders are hedging up super high and have to respect your 3-pointer and your speed to get open for 3-pointers off the screens, you're just going to have wide open easy dunks every single time anyway, so no need to have finishing badges to help you with contested finishes, or really any need to have driving, layup, or close shot upgraded anything more than what it already gives you at 52. But the problem that we have here, to be completely honest with you, is that this build right here, when you do what you're supposed to with it, I'm just going to make it built because it doesn't really matter, but 6'1", minimum weight, and then pretty much minimum wingspan as well, you can see you end up with a pretty much pure sharp and pure playmaker combined, where you have 91 ball handle, 91 3-pointer, 94 mid, and then you still have 60 driving dunk to be able to dunk the ball when they, again, like I said, overplay you super hard because you're super fast, can shoot threes ridiculously. You really can't get chased down blocked very efficiently with this because you can driving dunk every single time. And then the defense is still acceptable. Now, I want to explain why I think this build is so meta in the first place as well, in how the gameplay has kind of developed as far as what the meta is. So as I was just talking about with the defense, it's acceptable. It's doable for considering you're going to be the third best defender on your team, and you're really never going to be in those situations. However, I think the reason for all of this, where this build can hide on defense, is because a lot of people haven't caught on to the whole two ball handler meta that I think should develop, and that maybe we kind of preach a little bit more going into 2K22 to avoid allowing people to just hop in here with builds like this, where honestly, some of these stage dudes, this is what they do too, because they know they're going to be safe and they all agree to not run double ball handlers or target each other and their defensive weaknesses or anything. They'll go ahead and just run the all out on finishing and just max these out because they literally don't even care half the time. Now this was also, I will say, more of a 2K20 thing where you did actually want finishing badges to some extent, but realistically, I mean, this is all they got to do right here. Just max out the lateral quickness and perimeter D, and then at that point, if you get put in a couple situations, it is what it is. They really don't care to be a competent defender anyway, because like I said, they're always just going to be guarding the corner. They never have to get put in on-ball situations, and they're going to do their best to avoid those at all times. So, like I said, I think one thing that could really deteriorate this meta of this build being so dominant in the terms of how you would rank point guards and how you would grade them is if people were more aware and more awake to the whole running two ball handlers to avoid really good defenders and put guys like this in a more focal defensive spot. And then the reason for all this, and I should just backtrack entirely, is that these comp stage guys will call you a weirdo in the first place for trying to run two ball handlers and force them to play to their weaknesses. Again, these dudes might have one defensive badge and then they get super irritated and mad when you force them to play defense because, again, you're not playing by their rules. You're playing like a weirdo. You're playing outside the box and they don't like that. So we're going to do our best as a community and me as a creator to start making fun of these dudes for being such cowards and just like worried about people who are playing outside the box and forcing them to play by their weaknesses. Make a different build if it's such a problem. But again, to backtrack and just talk about the offensive abilities of this build right here, I mean, to combine all of this with the minimum wingspan, minimum weight, 6'1", because again, you don't have to be a competent defender, so you're just there for offense, and being 6'1" and super undersized doesn't really matter. So you end up with 91 three-pointer, like we were saying, 91 ball handle, 92 speed, which you can get the +8s by having +4 for your weekly workouts and stuff like that, and then +4 for being a 99. And maybe you only maintain 98 overall, so be it. Either way, you're pretty much going to maintain 99 speed no matter what with this build right here, and you're going to end up with about 95 ball handle and 95 three-pointer. This right here is a super OD consistency when it comes to the shooting and ball handling, and you really shouldn't make anything else. If you make a pure playmaker, why would you do that? You're taking a shooting hit when you're having about the same ball handling abilities as a play shot does right here. Why would you make a pure sharp? You have about the same three-point abilities for taking a huge hit on your speed and ball handle and just pass accuracy too, if that matters at all. But either way, there's no point in making pure archetypes in this game. Now, maybe you would see more pure archetypes if the badge system were more like 2K18 and 19, where if you had a non-pure archetype, you didn't have Hall of Fame badges. It was as simple as that. Or you had to be very similar in your primary archetype to the secondary archetype. Now, in 2K18 and 19, it was primary, secondary. I think it would be really dope, if you ask me, is you could still make builds like this where it's a 50-50 split, but if you make anything that's not a pure archetype, you don't get Hall of Fame badges. I think that'd be super fire. Or you could make something like this right here and still get Hall of Fame shooting badges, and then you would take, you know, the slight progressive hit to your playmaking in comparison to this right here. So with all this said, I think that would really expand how many builds you could see, because I think if you do limit this build right here to only having gold playmaking and gold shooting, it would definitely give you more options to be seen, where maybe you do see a build like this that has a slight drop off in the playmaking and a slight increase in the shooting, but has Hall of Fame shooting badges, and it would still be limited to the gold playmaking. Now, obviously, this plan that I'm talking about would not be foolproof, because you would have big men builds that are constantly going to be running the pure red if that were the case, because they're the only build that gets the Hall of Fame defensive badges. And if the game progresses the same way, where it's going to be all about the super offensive point guards, you're always going to have a super defensive big, where it's going to be all about screen setting, getting wide open twos, because you have to respect the point guard's ability to shoot and dribble so much. So you're going to get that attention to him in the pick and roll game, and it's going to be your big man reaping the rewards pretty much for having wide open dunks, and he doesn't have to be a very offensive big, whether it be to have a little bit of shooting in his game or to have better finishing to bail him out in certain situations for contested finishes or alley-oop access. And really, they give these pure reds such ridiculous finishing ability anyway. I think these guys should be a little bit more Draymond Greenish, if you ask me, where they're not so super uber athletic where they have such great driving, dunk, etc. And they pretty much play like a pure slash would anyway. You don't really need much finishing badges because they're able to get contact dunks and connect on really contested lobs and just be super fast in general and have great vertical. Now, I do think giving them the physicals makes a lot of sense where it's speed and vert, but I do think they should take a big hit on anything offensive and never be able to shoot, never be able to really do that much with finishing, and obviously be horrible at playmaking. You're a pure defensive build, that's what you should be. But again, to backtrack to this topic right here with the play shot and just like the offensive builds, I do think it'd be smart if they limited the badge caps a little bit to where a build like this doesn't have Hall of Fame shooting and Hall of Fame playmaking. And really, they should have taken the ratings down on this a little bit too. Like I said, the drop off between a pure sharp for the shooting, it's really not that OD aggressive, considering you can end up with you'll end up with 99 3-pointer with this, obviously. And you could, I guess the perk to this is that you could be a little bit taller and a little bit longer wingspan and still have 99 3-pointer, whereas with this one you have to go 6'1" and go minimum on the wingspan and stuff like that. But taller builds like this are just not of any value in 2K anyway. Now, I think if the day that we get rid of this whole how real life stuff works, where you would see a Reggie Miller or a Ray Allen who's going to be running around off ball because they're taller and a little bit longer of, I guess not really, the wingspan doesn't matter, but either way, a little bit taller could probably just be an off ball, as 2K terms would say it, like dexing essentially. That's just not a thing in 2K very often, and you're going to be a really underused commodity when you have a really slow build like this and you're going to be trying to play in the backcourt. That is just not really the most desirable thing. So to make a long story short right here, the reason you see every single person with this build title is because it's by far the best in the game. And I guess it is a couple different things you can make with this that would lead you to a playmaking shot creator. I'm guessing you could probably do the mostly shooting, some playmaking, and you would still get this title right here. But either way, we all know what pretty much 99% of the people chose as their pie chart if they have this build title. It's going to be the play shot. It's going to be the direct 50-50 split when it comes to the playmaking and the shooting. It's as simple as that. Now, before we go to the badges real quick, I just one last time want to explain to anybody at 2K who might be watching this, or you as the viewer, to tell 2K and just kind of pressure them into this next year of how stupid it is that this is how the build system worked out. So again, the whole 99 system allows you to end up with 95 ball handling, 95 3-pointer, 99 speed, still be able to dunk when you're wide open, and honestly, the way that the game and just the community, and we need to start pressuring these stage dudes into treating them like they're geeks too, because it's honestly it's kind of embarrassing, honestly, the way that they be acting most of the time when it comes to exposing their low defense. We need to start pushing the, I would say, meta of running 2 ball handlers and really making those dudes pay for having horrible defense. It's just honestly how I feel about it, because there's really no reason you should end up making a build with a very obvious complete weakness and nobody ever exposes that weakness, and then you get mad when people do expose that weakness. That's just some geek stuff, bro. That's honestly embarrassing in the first place that that's what we consider good in the community. But again, to backtrack to the whole 2K topic, definitely this whole 91 3-pointer and 91 ball handling for a 50-50 split between a build, that's just unacceptable. And then for the 25 shooting badges and 24 playmaking badges too, it's just ridiculous, bro. That's just not acceptable in the first place. So we end up with you pretty much having the 3-pointer and shooting badges of a pure sharp. You have pretty much the ball handling and playmaking badges of a pure playmaker. You have the speed that's just out of this world with 99. And then, like I said, the defense is kind of acceptable on this. And then the finishing is all you would need in this game anyway, because of how dominant you are with the shooting and playmaking. It's just, you have to be respected so much when it comes to the ball handling ability and how quick you are, and the 3-point ability with how reliable you are from 3 and how contested you can even hit as well, that really this is all you need with the finishing anyway. Now, from a glance, you could look at this build and be like, well, Laker, its strong points are supposed to be shooting and playmaking, and its weaknesses are supposed to be finishing and defense, and it sure looks like that. Yes, I understand. I do think, however, that the caps that you can reach on the shooting and playmaking are way too high. So, my example with this build, you can get things ridiculous, like to have Hall of Fame range extender and hot zone hunter is big time, even Deadeye, low key. Then, for the playmaking, to have things like Hall of Fame handles for days, quick first step, unpluckable, tight handles, ankle breaker, even the ability to get Hall of Fame dimer as well if you wanted that. Ridiculous. Now, if you nerf these down to where this is what you have, and then I'm just going to pump, random badges in real quick just to show kind of what I'm saying. So, if you were only able to run things like this on this build and have sort of like the caps of where you have gold clutch shooter, gold green machine, gold hot zone hunter, gold range extender with gold quick first step, handles for days, dimer, unpluckable, I think it definitely looks a little bit less intimidating, so to say, while at the same time rewarding people who end up with the pure archetypes of how their only strong point should be playmaking, and that's where they would reap those benefits of having the Hall of Fame playmaking badges and having super high speed with ball and ball handle, etc. if you're a pure playmaker. Whereas if you want to be a pure sharp or the mostly sharp in some playmaking, then you would have the ability to get Hall of Fame shooting badges, but then maybe take the hit on the playmaking, or for all I know, maybe we have custom pie charts next year where you have fully customizable spots and then people just keep meeting the thresholds and whatnot of having, say, Hall of Fame shooting badges and then still having gold. Or if we really want to be completely honest with this, what I think would be fire too is to pick your top 4 archetypes, right? So you have the 4 of them right here, and you can put your power rankings on them however you want. So if you want to be primary shooting, secondary playmaking, tertiary defense, and then 4th finishing, you could have something like this where it would be Hall of Fame caps on the shooting, gold caps on the playmaking, silver caps on the defense, and bronze caps on the finishing. Whereas again, for maybe your bigs out there, you would have Hall of Fame caps on the defense. Maybe if you want to be a popper big, you would have gold caps on the shooting, and then say silver caps on the finishing, and then bronze caps on the playmaking. Or you go Hall of Fame caps on the defense, and then gold on the finishing, silver on the shooting, or silver on the playmaking, and then bronze on whichever of the 2 you don't pick. I think that'd be super fire. That's me just kind of giving my like freelance ideas as far as how I think the game could work. I think that'd be super good, at least in comparison to what we've had for the last 2 years, because I do think people having 2 different types of Hall of Fame badges where you can have Hall of Fame playmaking and Hall of Fame shooting, that's kind of OD if you ask me. Same with having like Hall of Fame defense and Hall of Fame shooting. I think that's what made rim sharps so overpowered in 20 as well. Also, one other thing to make mention of too before I end this video is this right here is going to be a 6'5" play shot. So you actually don't lose any shooting when it comes to this. You can see in the difference between 6'5" and 6'1", you literally don't lose anything. Now this is what my boy Kitchen rocks out with right here, because he's a pretty comfortable ball handler on builds that have a little bit less speed or ball handling. Yet at the same time, it's so dominant because he's tall enough to play good defense, and then he actually still is a very capable ball handler because again, the speed boost glitch and just the fact that you really don't lose that much shooting. Again, I mean, you don't lose any actually, but when you minimize the wingspan, you end up with that 91 3-pointer still. Again, that goes to 95 3-pointer, and then really you don't even end up with that bad of speed. You're 6'5" and you end up with 88 speed. Add a little +4 on that to the physical boost, and then +4 on a 99 boost, and then you're literally just chilling at pretty much 96 anyway, or 94, whichever of the 2 that you end up at. But long story short is, pretty much this archetype does need to be nerfed and definitely needs to see some differences when it comes to 2K22 if we have pie chart systems or anything, because this right here is OD. It's honestly like way too over the top in the builder alone, and then the gameplay multiplies on that because the gameplay is so tailored to a build like this anyway, whether it be for 2v2, how we saw people fading like crazy at the beginning of the game with this build right here off screens and just going OD on the mid-range with like 99 mid pretty much, or with what it is now in the 3v3 where you're just super OD fast with the speed boost glitch, and then you could shoot at the highest level consistency because again, you're a 50-50 split, yet at the same time you have 95 3-pointer. That's just OD if you ask me. Anyway, that's all for the video. I hope y'all enjoyed. If you did, feel free to drop a like, sub if you're new, turn on them noties, all that good stuff. If you made it to this point in the video, put Laker in the comments to show your support you made it all the way through. Feel free to leave your feedback as well. Let me know what you think of the 2K21 play shot. Let me know if you think it needs a nerf going into 2K22 as well, or if you think I'm just an old head that's hating on the game and that I need to just calm down. At the end of the day, I'm 22. I'm not actually like super old or anything like that, but you know, people be clowning me for the whole slasher and lockdown and big man stuff and yada yada whatnot. At the end of the day, I see this in a completely unbiased standpoint. For me, it makes sense. Like, for me, I should be encouraging play shots to be good because it promotes my play style of the inside big also being well, because it kind of goes hand in hand with an outside guard, whereas guards being able to slash more, like how it was in 2K20, where maybe BPs were more acceptable or the play locks became more acceptable at the end of the year. It made it so I couldn't even hop on the 2v2 court with an inside big anymore, because for me to function the right way, I need a smaller guard. I need a play shot. I need somebody who can shoot and dribble to be able to kind of go well with my strength as well of catching lobs, pick and rolling, playing defense, and then at the end of the day, my play shot's just getting worked by a dude who's ISOing him with a play lock anyway and just getting dunked on all day because he's exposing the weaknesses of his defense. So it's a hand-in-hand thing. It's an evolution of the game. I think when we see a lot of archetypes being able to be used, it makes for a way better game. Again, feel free to leave your feedback. Let me know what you think of all this stuff as well. And other than that, I hope y'all enjoyed. If you made it to the real end of the video, put shot in the comments to show support you made all the way through. Other than that, I hope y'all enjoyed, and let's try this one to 800 likes. Take it easy, man. Peace.